Hello everyone, welcome back to Stainless Steel. As we can see here, we've got a Portuguese Crusader army accompanied by an Aragonese Crusader army, and they are marching north past Lyon, Dijon, perhaps Bern, maybe, or whatever this is, Staufen. They may be marching past all of these towns right towards Frankfurt, which is already surrounded by massive Crusader armies, a massive Danish army, a massive Sicilian army, and a somewhat massive Genoese army, which is, I gotta say, an unforeseen advantage to this crusade. In hindsight, it makes sense that the Genoese would commit a force to this crusade. They are, after all, the Pope's lapdog at this point, basically. Where they are, I cannot find. Oh, here we are. They're right here, right next to Denmark. They're right the fuck up there. And you know what? We would be too if we took Frankfurt or whatever the fuck else has been taken in this crusade. But anyway, yeah, the Genoese, they've committed a Crusader army, which, luckily for us, further weakens their western front here. Lyon has no forces to speak of, much like Frankfurt itself. Dijon is pretty weak as well. Clermont remains quite strong. But, like I was saying, though, Frankfurt, there's no defense. There's this huge Danish army, and I imagine it's the Danes that are going to take Frankfurt, but there's no defense. There's no big army to stop this crusade. There is Captain Wiet here, who is heading towards Frankfurt, perhaps, to try to help out, but you know what? I think he's going to arrive too late. Too little, too late. The Danes have already taken Frankfurt on their way, or sorry, when I said Frankfurt, I really meant Hamburg. They've already taken Hamburg on their way to Frankfurt, and yes, James d'Adelberg was the only witness to that event. Yes, and it appears that, you know what, there's not much of an army there to garrison that place. Let's see if we can get any information from these guys.
I must inform you.
No, we already have maps apparently, and that's good enough. Okay, you know what, we're going to take a look at our notifications here. Reginald de Berners, or diplomat in Edinburgh, has died. So we'll have to recruit another diplomat in Edinburgh just to deal with the Scots, if need be. And Lewes the Honourable, our family member in London, he was actually the mayor of London, has died. Not super great, but Eleanor Seymour has been born, which is alright. There's been some games in Bordeaux, which is also alright. Yeah, so you know what? We're going to take a look at our notifications. Oh my god, population is through the floor. There is no hope for the population growth here. I don't know what's going on. The squalor seems to be equal to the rest of the bonuses. I guess the governor gave quite a large bonus there because there's no way we're going to grow London any further if we don't build some crops or something like that. That abbey does not actually boost population growth, so we're going to have to go for these massive crops. 9 turns for those crops. Hopefully there's another way to increase population growth, but there isn't. It's got to be the crops for a massive 4,700 florins. We need another governor for London, of course. I'm not sure who could fill that role. Considering Lewes has just kicked the bucket. Where is he? Lewes the Honourable. He was an old man. He was freaking ancient. And you know what? We can't tell how old he was, but I'm sure we did look at some point. He was like 80. I'm not even joking. He was 80 years old. Okay, so York has a tavern, and you know what? York is now London was making a comparable amount of money before Lewes died, but York is now our most productive city, financially, I suppose. The strongest trading center we have, along with Rennes, actually. And Edinburgh's not bad. Those are our strongest towns financially at this moment. And you know what? There are still quite a few buildings to build in York to increase that even further. For example, this market or this shipwright. But we'll go for probably a library for York for now. Angers has a barracks, and we'll build this chain of river ports. Toulouse, communal farming. Not much to build in Toulouse. We'll build a chapel, I suppose. But anyway, once we are done looking at all of these notifications, what I would like to do... Oh, look at this. Crusaders are now at war with the Byzantines. And the Republic of Venice is now at war with the Republic of Genoa, which is very interesting. That means that Genoa is going to be attacked in the rear, and you know what? Venice might take all of Genoa's Italian holdings here before we even breach. Oh, I mean, we could march on Genoa as well as Pisa quite easily and take them, but like I've previously said, I don't want to overextend that much. I would really like to take these 3 towns, possibly Bern as well, before we continue onwards, just so that if we really do want peace with the Genoese at some point, then we have a solid foothold in France to begin with, and we don't have this massive thorn in our English sides, if you know what I mean. I would just like to have a consolidated territory in Europe at this point in time. But like I was saying, I think now is a great time to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to look at our agents. It may seem like it's going to be boring, but I promise you I'll make it interesting somehow. I don't know. But we desperately need to look at this because it's fallen to the wayside, quite unfortunately, in recent episodes, and it's getting out of hand. We've got agents just all over the place, not doing a damn thing. First of all, we need some bishops, I would imagine. A good way to check if you need priests is to try to recruit one. If you are at the agent limit, that means that you have 1 priest for each city as well as castle. So if you want to have a priest in every city like I usually do, this is a good way to test it. And you know what, I'm going to train a few priests from Exeter over the turns, because that's where we have our Theologians Guild, I believe. Yes, Master Theologians Guild. Holy shit. And basically that's all there is to do for our priests. We've got 1 on the sea heading to Dublin, but that's about it. Everyone else is positioned. It's just a matter of finding where we're missing priests and bishops and whatnot. It appears that our English holdings are not bad. Galway is missing a priest as well, so Admiral Philip is actually going to have to head back to Exeter. We'll wait for that next priest, and we'll ship them both to England, or Ireland rather, where they'll live out the rest of their days, being Catholic and whatnot. But I believe all of France is except for Toulouse and Marseille, I would imagine. Oh no, somehow Marseille has a bishop who's named Harold Lestrange. Yes. Harold the Strange, which is an unfortunate name to have as a bishop, I gotta tell you. Let's see. Let's try to recruit a priest from here. Bam. Agent limit reached. So once we recruit this priest here, I suppose that's all there is to it. But anyway, we want to take a look at our merchants right now. I've got a bunch on the sea. Here we go. Right outside London. Like 1. Arthur Giles as well. This guy. So we've got 3 merchants on this boat, and I would imagine there's actually 1 in London as well. No, there isn't. I was mistaken. But we can recruit another in London as well as... Nope. London, that's the last one. So we'll have 4 merchants on this boat eventually that we'll have to ship throughout Europe. I was sending... I had a merchant around here. Guy Moray. I was going to send Guy of Moray all the way to Venice to try to trade this glassware. Aubrey Wells, he is 69 years old, so we're going to have to drop off a merchant to replace him in the glasswares of Frankfurt there. And you know what? I think I'm actually going to ship the rest of the merchants across the world. To Northern Africa, there's ivory. And I'm sure in the rest of Africa there are some nice trade goods. Slaves are not bad, I don't think. I can't quite remember. But if you're not aware, I believe in Medieval 2, the further away you are from your capital, the more money your merchants make. That is why Odo Dunbar, apart from his skill, that is why he's making so much money off this silk. He's making 1,300 florins off this silk, and he would make nearly that if he were to trade this glasswares. And you know what, there's even more silk up here. So if, yeah, actually, here's a good illustration of that fact. On this silk here, he would make 1369. On this silk here, he would make 1027. And I'm not sure why that is, actually, because these ones, he can make just as much money trading silk in the Byzantine Empire. You know what, I may be incorrect, actually. I'm not entirely sure of that. I'll have to check my facts before I blurt out some more shit like that. But anyway, that's basically our merchants. we really only need to shuffle around those merchants that are on the sea outside London. But most importantly, though, I want to take a look at our diplomats. We've got one in Saxony who actually is the shittiest diplomat in our empire right now. Actually, no. He is tied with Edmund of Lincoln. So we've got one in Saxony. Fulk of Cambridge is by Acre, which, weirdly enough, is not going above 47% Catholicism. So I imagine there's some mosques or something in there that are nullifying Giles Grey's attempts to convert any heretics at this point. So you know what? If I were to buy back Acre, it would probably revolt pretty quickly yet again. But nevertheless, Giles Grey is going to stand here for the rest of eternity trying to convert these guys because I'm too lazy to try and come pick him up. You know what? I could march him across all of fucking Africa here to be picked up when we drop off those merchants, but that still seems like a pain in my ass. So I'm probably not going to do that, and Giles Grey will live out his days outside the walls of Acre, most likely. Okay, yeah, so we've got Fulk of Cambridge right outside Acre, and you know what? Bartholomew Arundel, our best diplomat to date, is right outside Lazio, or is in Lazio, right outside Rome, rather. And I had mentioned this to one of our viewers here that at some point it was my plan to come and kiss the ass of the Pope, like so. Not regular tribute, I'm not crazy. I'm going to make a single payment of, I don't know, 500 florins. Just a small, I don't want to say a bribe, but a small gift. A small donation to the church. But yes, it was my original plan to kiss the ass of the Pope to some degree, so we wouldn't get excommunicated. But you know what? I'm glad that Barty Arundel is down here because, like I said, he is our best diplomat. He is actually the best a diplomat can be. Unfortunately, he is also 70 years old, so we're going to have to train yet another diplomat in Marseille to probably replace him once he keels over of old age, and we can continue to talk to the Pope, whisper in his ear and whatnot. We've got a diplomat in Ile-de-France, right outside Paris, so we can always talk to the French if need be, and we've got another diplomat in Ilmen. It's actually Edmund of Lincoln. If you remember, he has been constantly harassed and hounded by pagan priests. But I generally just like to have diplomats around the world in various locations, so I can conduct diplomacy with far-off states whenever I want. It's a good way to keep track of the waxing and waning levels of power, I suppose, because you can always get map rights. You can get map information and then see who is growing, who's shrinking, etc. I'm sure that the Khwarezmians at this point are probably a bit smaller, but you never know. If I were to go ask them for maps, you never know what we'd find. But anyway, that's basically my thinking behind having at least a few diplomats spread around. If they're not immediately, or not immediately talking to our close allies or enemies, then that's why they're out in the world. If you're wondering, it's so we can keep an eye on the rest of the world. And speaking of, we could probably train some more diplomats for that very reason somewhere out there one day. I could do it now, but I'm probably not going to for some reason. I don't know. I want to move on. We've got two assassins, one on the sea in oh, it's Robin Fitzwalter returning victoriously back from Ireland from killing Frost Audley, if you remember. We're going to send him to France, of course. We've got another assassin somewhere in France here. I think he was going to assassinate some Genoese guys, but you know what? It's too hard. It is too hard to assassinate the Genoese. Let's see. We can try to assassinate some Venetians. In fact, you know what? Let's talk to this Venetian princess. Let's get some map information. Let's marry the faction heir. No, I'm just kidding. She's not pretty enough, and I don't think I want a... Actually, you know what? An alliance with the Venetians would not be bad. I'll have to sleep on it, though. Okay, so Venice has not changed at all. But yeah, this is not bad. We've got a ton of... Polish diplomat, Kievan Rus. Venetian, yet again. We've got all these agents from various empires around that we can talk to, if need be, which is always great. I would like to talk to that Byzantine guy, actually, if I could grab my diplomat. Christopher Cromwell. I thought it said Christopher Columbus for a second, I was going to say. My god. And you know what? We have a bunch of spies all over the fucking place, but I'm not really going to touch them. right now, they're basically our eyes and ears on the front lines. And you know what? That's our brief look at our agents. Hopefully, that should clear some things up. Have some redundancies with agents. I mean, we've got agents all over the place, and they're not even doing shit. So I was just trying to curb that while we had the time. But anyway, we're already like halfway through the episode, and I haven't done a single damn thing. And you know what? There isn't really much to do. We are passively, aggressively besieging the French and the Genoese. Where are my missions? Here we go. This is what I meant to look at. Okay. We've got 2 turns until we can attack the French, 3 turns until we attack the Republic of Genoa, and of course we have that Crusade to join as well. What I can do actually is I'll test this out here. This will result on excommunication. Okay. We are not in the Pope's books well enough, in his good books well enough to not be excommunicated if we were to attack the French or the Genoese. And look at this, we're only 3 crosses below like ultimate maximum levels of Christianity, I suppose, Catholicism, power, I don't know what the hell you would call that. Holiness, I guess, I don't know. We're only 3 crosses below max, and we are basically going to get excommunicated if we attack either of these guys, unfortunately. So we may have to bribe the Pope yet again next turn with even more florins, maybe some small children, I don't know. Whatever he's into. I don't want to point fingers or reinforce stereotypes, but come on. Alright, you know what? I think the only city we'll have trouble taking is actually going to be Clermont. There's no defense in either of these. I may actually auto-resolve them because it's like one fucking unit. Even though I would like to do a full-on siege of a walled fortress at this point with Barty card due to all of the siege equipment. It may just be a giant, massive waste of time. But anyway, once we take these 3 cities, we'll have to decide whether to take Bern. And along in that vein, if the Crusade goes on long enough, we could always take Staufen, which is a fortress, Metz, which is a fortress, and then Antwerp, which is a fortress, which would be a great bastion against the Holy Romans, because, you know what, I don't think this Crusade was really strong enough to weaken them like a relevant amount. They've still got quite a few armies kicking around in France, as well as Bruges and Antwerp. You'd think they'd all retreat back to Frankfurt to try to hold on to their fucking capital, but apparently not. Actually, you know what? Frankfurt isn't even the capital of the imperial holdings here, I guess. I'm not actually sure what the capital is. Maybe it's Vienna or something. I can't seem to find it. Who knows? Who knows at this point? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, moving on. I've lingered too long on that. I suppose we can end the turn. Turn 100 will end it. And you know what? It's going to be 1200 AD. Which means, you know what? All the computers are going to shut down. Planes are going to fall out of the sky. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be the end of the world. You're going to be eating canned food for the rest of your fucking life. But anyway, we're going to end the turn. Hello, everyone, to a new century. Holy shit. That's the twisty thing. I'm wearing a hat right now and some ridiculous sunglasses that are in the shape of 1200 AD. You can't see it, but I'm sure you can imagine. Use your brains. We just had a new year, and it's snowy as fuck up here. But anyway, Scotland just dropped off 2 massive stacks right outside Bruges. So I suppose they're intent on keeping their capital for some reason. Who'd have thunk it, really? But to me, it appears that they've abandoned their northern holdings here, and they're ripe for conquest eventually. If we can manage it, at some point in time, that would be a good idea to march north and fucking take them out. Also worth pointing out, on the Crusade front, the Danes were too late. The Genoese got to besieging Frankfurt before the Danes ever arrived, so I'm not sure if they'll reinforce each other. I'm not sure how that works. But anyway, it appears that the Genoese are going to take Frankfurt, which is actually... It kind of backfired a little bit. When I was talking about how there was an unforeseen advantage in which the Genoese would commit some forces, it was further unseen that they would themselves capture Frankfurt, which it's a little shitty. But anyway, there was also one half stack of Aragonese Crusaders right here, but also in the mists of time, the fog of war, there was another full stack of Aragonese bastards. So if these guys somehow fail to take Frankfurt, these Aragonese bastards will definitely do it. I gotta say, they are projecting some serious power for being only a few provinces big. They only have 4 towns in their fielding of fucking army and a half of Crusaders. But anyway, we've got a bunch of shit going on. The King of France is dead. Which means that Paris is basically ripe for the taking. King Colin is 76, and he was the next in line. So I don't know how old the last king was. Holy shit, he must have been like 105. But we managed to make 1,800 florins last turn. I've been experimenting / keeping an eye on upkeep. So I think what we'll have to do during peacetime is basically disband all of our common units such as archers, because they don't get upkeep in castles for some reason. You can see here that Bordeaux has the ability to maintain the upkeep of 3 units, and yet they're only maintaining the upkeep of this 1 spear militia. But I've been keeping an eye on which units get free upkeep and which do not. And you can see here that Malays get free upkeep, yet these light men-at-arms do not. In Toulouse, though. And these Norman sergeants don't either. But I believe in some places the Norman sergeants do. I have seen them getting free upkeep. But it's our Malays, our feudal knights, as well as our Malays petites. So basically our most expensive units get free upkeep in cities. And also they are most hard units to acquire. They are not very common. So during peacetime, what we'll have to do is disband light men-at-arms, archers, basically our most common professional units, and we'll keep some of these expensive assholes in the wings, just so that we always have a standing force of some really hard-hitting units. I have seen the Norman sergeants get free upkeep, but I don't seem to have any castles with them getting free upkeep at the moment. So I'm not sure whether we'll have to keep the Norman sergeants or disband them or not. But there you go. We've also got some technological upgrades here. Heavy mail is now available, due to it now being the 13th century. New techniques in production of mail have reduced their cost, and now full body suits of mail armor are common. And look at this, a boon for builders as well. Tales of a clever invention from the Far East have recently inspired European peasants to come up with a simple laborer's aid they are referring to as the wheelbarrow. It sounds very mystical, I know. By placing a wheel at the front of a wooden stretcher, it has been discovered that a lone worker can move a heavy load of stone on their own with little risk of injury. That's a very good point. We don't want any more WCB claims than we currently have. We're already drowning in paperwork due to all these fucking workers' compensation claims. It's getting out of hand. It could be as much of a boon for lords seeking to raise castles in quick time as it will be for the serfs who shall have to build them. So we've got wheelbarrows now. What a fucking age we live in. Holy shit. Dublin is ready to upgrade, and even though we're hurting for money, I'm going to upgrade it anyway. You always, unless you're absolutely flat fucking broke, you want to expand your cities, especially your cities, and because they're your money makers. So the larger they are, the more money you make, etc. It's basically a future investment for more money. I would say castles are optional. If you can spare to not upgrade castles, like if you're already technologically ahead somewhere else, like you've already got a massive fortress in another part of your empire, maybe you don't need to upgrade that castle. For example, maybe I don't need to upgrade Carnarvon. But I have, and I probably will anyway, because I have the fucking money for it. But if you have a hard time keeping hold of your money, that's just a small tip. We failed this mission, and the Merchants Guild is absolutely, totally disappointed with us, which is not the greatest. But it appears that a bunch of our merchants have gained some skills, which is nice. Andrew Gruchil is now the Lord High Chancellor. King Herbert is a royal treasurer. Simon Blunt is a diplomatic escort, or he has a diplomatic escort. My mistake. This is our diplomat in Edinburgh, and you know what? He's not the greatest. He's only got 3 points. But he is bilingual, so that means he speaks both English and Scottish. Okay, but he will basically stay there for the rest of his life, just in case we need to talk to the Scots, declare war, make peace, who knows. But we do have a bunch of merchants in our boat here, and I'm going to have to start sending them around the world in 80 days, eventually. And yeah, we are at our agent limit for both priests and merchants, so I suppose that means we'll have to start shipping them around, okay? So we got Lawrence Roux here. Rouet, I'm not sure. He's only an apprentice. He's not put enough hours in to become a journeyman priest yet, unfortunately. But that's good enough for Ireland, I gotta say. An apprentice is just all we need for Dublin as well as Galway, honestly. Okay, Exeter now has paved roads, and look at this. Our road system is near completion. Basically, it's just Winchester and Carnarvon. Winchester and Carnarvon are the only holdouts in England itself as to the new upgraded road system. So much trade going on these fucking roads right now. It's unbelievable. Okay, Exeter does have paved roads, though, and oh my god, we're gonna have to build so much shit now. Exeter has got so many opportunities. I think we'll have to build a merchant's wharf. We need the cash. Winchester has a market. We'll build an inn. Actually, yeah, we'll stay with the inn. Visby has a practice range, meaning we can now recruit these Norse archers eventually. I'm going to recruit these Viking raiders, disband one of these spear militia. These Viking raiders get free upkeep, so I'm going to try to have 2 Viking raiders. Maybe I'll hold on to this last spear militia just for the defense. Marseille is Stonemason's Hut, which is great. We're going to retrain. Oh my god, we can train urban spear militia. These guys are great. And you know what? They're actually better than our own spearmen by a large margin. They have better armor as well as a better attack. Oh my god, they have men. More men as well. They've got 200 men, 2 attack, as well as 12 total defense. And I gotta say, they look fucking badass in their armor. The only problem is they cost quite a bit more than our spear militia, but that's not a problem, considering they get free upkeep in this city. Okay, there we go. We'll have some urban spear militia chilling in Marseille, holding down the fort. Meanwhile, we'll build a bakehouse, because Marseille is dwindling in population as time goes on. Look at this. We are now dipping below 40,000 florins. We've got a diplomat in Marseille. I completely forgot about him.
Your Majesty.
Nicholas Herbert. Oh my god, he is the worst. He is actually the worst. Okay, we're going to pair him with our best. Because between the two of them, on average, we have just like a middle-of-the-road medium diplomat. We got our best diplomat paired with our shittiest diplomat, and I'm sure between the two of them, they can manage to be an able-bodied diplomat. I don't know what the hell I'm saying, because hostilities have ceased between the Republic of Genoa as well as the Kingdom of Portugal, which is not surprising considering that there was really no open hostilities to begin with. They were only at war on paper, really. But the Pope has started to like us even more. I'm not sure why. Perhaps it was due to that bribe. And speaking of, we'll bribe him yet again. Sorry, I keep saying bribe, but really it's just a donation. We need to give the church a good 1,000 florins so they can gild some more shit in their churches. Oh, that was weird. It was white out. It was whited out. I don't know what the hell that meant. But anyway, we have given the Pope a total of 1,500 florins in return for his favor. And look at this. We've got Piero Settignano here with not a bad army, actually. All of a sudden, out of the mist of war, the mist of the land, I don't know. It's the fog of war, really. That's what it's called. I don't know where the hell he came from, is what I'm getting at. But we do have a few captains around Lyon now. Gimignano, Giustiniani, of course. Giustiniani. I've been missing an entire syllable there. How many syllables can a fucking Italian guy have in his name? Holy shit. Okay. You know what? Frankfurt is still under siege. The Germans are not really doing much. They have yet to move. And Simon Russell is going to... Oh my god, he is now white-haired. He is old. All of our generals are getting so old. But anyway, within the next turn, we're going to take Paris, basically. Next turn, we can besiege Paris and take it in the same turn so the Pope doesn't have time to fucking send a letter or anything. By the time the letter reaches us, Paris is going to be in ruin, basically, is what I'm saying. But anyway, there's not much else for us to do, and you know what? I think I might end the episode here. I know a large portion of this episode was us fucking around with menus and agents and whatnot, and that might not be the most exciting thing. But when you have so many ceased hostilities missions, it's a little hard to make things exciting. I hope you understand. The Crusade was definitely interesting, to say the least. I gotta say. But I imagine that will be taken by the Genoese next turn. We're going to have to find out. But anyway, everyone, as always, thank you for watching. It's greatly appreciated. I will see you next video.